What's going on, guys? It's your guy Will, back at you with another video. Right now I am at Lil Cycles out in Sykesville, Maryland. I want to introduce you guys to Bob. Bob is a tuner. He's been tuning motorcycles for over 20 years. Man, thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate you coming and seeing me.
Yep. He's gonna tune my bike, and then we're also gonna talk a little bit about tuning. You know, Bob, what got you into tuning?
So, yeah, obviously when I was younger, you know, I was into motorcycles, dirt bikes, racing cars, fixing lawnmowers, and it just basically just snowballed from there. I've always been involved in some kind of performance something. Mini bikes, like I said, racing dirt bikes, racing three-wheelers, which eventually led to me road racing motorcycles. I did that for a few years. Of course, I enjoyed the heck out of it. I got old. I got a couple bad wrecks, obviously. Everybody at road races does. And then basically I ended up tuning. That led me to basically here, doing this now. I worked at Northrop Grumman for a couple years and got a little bit of experience with computers there. Took some classes and really didn't care for the professional environment. Just something I didn't care for. I mean, I'm used to working as a mechanic or a technician. And then once I had left there, I'd taken some classes with college and so forth. Never finished my engineering degree. And I started tuning motorcycles. And then I ended up working at Zipper's Performance, building engines there for a couple of years, and finally working with the Thundermax. And then I was able to utilize the experience that I had with computers at that point. And 20 plus years later, here I am.
For the guys out there watching the video, what is a tune, and how is that different from just putting on performance parts and riding down the road?
You know, a lot of people do their own builds at home. You know, they put their own mufflers, change their exhaust, camshafts. A lot of people like to change their camshafts. But with the technology today, with the fuel injection, these parts have to be, I'd say, married together with a tune. You know, basically the tune, you know, you might get away with riding it and it may run okay, but until you put it on a dyno where you're actually able to see what the air-fuel ratio is and where it needs fuel either added or taken away, you haven't really married all these parts together. So the money that you've spent for all the components, hoping to get more performance, you're leaving a lot on the table potentially.
What are the processes someone would have to go to? Like if they come in, they want to get their bike tuned, they give it to you. What are the steps you take? And then what software do you guys use here at Lil Hops?
Actually, one of the first steps we have to do is, you know, talk to you, the customer, and find out exactly what you have installed on your motorcycle. You know, the camshaft, the exhaust system that you've had put on, any gear ratio changes, maybe put a chain drive, anything you've done to the motorcycle that would need to be known before we start tuning it, particularly the type of cam that's in the motorcycle. If you've changed your pistons and changed the engine size, what compression ratio is it? Very, very important point.
And what software do you guys utilize here at the shop?
So right here at the shop, we have a Dynajet 250i, and we use the PowerCore C3 platform, which includes all the dyno control software within it to use for the dyno. And then because he's using a PowerVision OG, which I have right up there on the dyno stand, I'm able to link to that module with the C3 platform, which, by the way, we have the advanced tuning capabilities of that software.
You guys also tune Thundermax here as well?
Yes, we do.
Also tune Thundermax, so not only just DynoJet, but also Thundermax. So for you Thundermax lovers out there, they can also hook you guys up here at the shop.
I've got a very strong background in Thundermax.
Is there a difference in the way you guys tune, say per se, a daily commuter bike, something that guys are, you know, riding on a day-to-day basis, versus how you tune a track bike?
Yes, there is a big difference between the two. The first thing, as a tuner, you have to understand from the customer what the capabilities or what the intent of the motorcycle is, or the intent of the build. If you built the motorcycle just to run on track, then that's something that needs to be understood up front, because now you're taking a motorcycle that you're running wide open throttle for a quarter mile or whatever you're doing it.
Yep.
And it doesn't need to spend all the time in the transitional areas of the map where you ride it on the road. But if that customer is a daily commuter, you have to make sure the bike cold starts well, hot starts well, rides well, shifting through gears, transitional areas of the map where you're going to pass cars and things like that. There's a lot more that needs to be looked at, I would say.
So for a lot of people out there, they install parts and they don't. A lot of guys say like, I don't need a tune. Can a bad tune damage a bike, or like if you install parts and you don't get it properly tuned?
100%. It could 100% damage the bike, without a doubt. Depending upon the parts that you've installed and the changes that you've made to the motorcycle, the timing could be wrong. The air-fuel ratio could be wrong. It could be putting too much fuel in.
Right.
It could be washing the engine out with too much fuel, or it could be way too lean. And this could cause detonation, which eventually will destroy the top of the piston, and basically your engine could turn into junk.
Now, how do you guys balance maximum out performance versus tuning a reliable bike for like a regular commuter, right? Because we all want numbers. We're all chasing numbers, right? The industry is all about chasing numbers. But how do you balance that as a tuner, to satisfy the customers' want for the numbers, but also making sure that they have a reliable tune when they're going down the road?
So I guess it all comes down to experience on that part. I mean, like I said, I worked at Zipper's Performance for almost 23 years, and that's basically all that I did. I built engines there for a couple of years, but I tuned with the Thunder Max. So you know where these areas are, where you can make a map. I call it set to kill. But the problem you have with a set to kill map, at least it was when I was at Zippers, is that map could go to California, or not California, I'm sorry, we don't sell there, but it could go to the West Coast somewhere, like Nevada or Utah, where the elevation's high. Or you could be at sea level in Florida, where it's 105 degrees or 100 degrees. Or it could go to Maine, where it's cool, and the air is more dense. So, you can't set them to kill because, another thing I forgot is the fuel differences around the country. They may not be able to get the quality fuel that we have maybe here that in another part of the country. So you have to be thinking about these differences or tolerances in the components and things like that when you're building a tune. Again, setting to kill is more like a drag race or a race bike tune. And you want to stay away from that because it can cause problems.
Cool. So with that being said, has there been any times you've had to save a motorcycle, so to speak, from a bad tune? Like somebody came in here and the bike was just running horrible. You kind of rescued it and they got it out the door running the way it should be?
Yes. I had a couple of them, but the latest one that comes to mind is a gentleman had I think 24, and it was an M8 cycle. It was a Gen 2 motorcycle to be exact. It was a 117. He had put a 528 cam in that motorcycle, Chromeworks exhaust, and the bike ran well, but the exhaust was delivered without baffles in it. And I have to admit, they do sound good without baffles in it. But when you leave the baffle out of the exhaust, it's affecting the pumping efficiency of the engine. The exhaust actually helps the engine breathe air. So, and it also helps make it tunable. But without it, it makes it very difficult to tune. So I tried to get it to work, and I had detonation problems, etc. Finally, the gentleman was like, go ahead, just put baffles in it. And in that particular case, I chose the Chromeworks straight through louvered baffles. I've had experience with those. They work very well in that 4.5-inch muffler. Put it in there, and it all came around. And if I believe I'm not mistaken, it was almost a 70 foot-pound of gain torque at like 25 to 3,000 RPMs.
That's a huge gain.
Huge.
Yeah, that's a huge gain.
And after I was done, of course you get the wide open power numbers on the dyno graph, and it really does look good. But there could be deceiving because you don't really ride the bike there often. Where you get the gain is the park throttle operation. When you on the highway and you're in 6th gear and you just open the throttle a little bit, and the bike just takes off and goes, and you don't have to downshift. So the customer went for a ride and could not believe the difference a baffle could make in the operation of the motorcycle. So that's just the one that recently it comes to mind.
Nice. So as far as like a customer comes in, right? They have a stock bike, they want performance. What are some things that you recommend? They're inexperienced, they're looking to either for a cam, a big bore kit, or anything. They don't know what they're looking at. What do you guys recommend here, and what do you think are some good parts and stuff out there that they should look into?
Well, there's a lot of good parts out there, but do all those parts work well together? I spent over almost 23 years at Zippers Performance, and I have to give them a plug on this. If you don't have a lot of experience, they have a whole team on the front end of it to discuss with the customer the components that work together. And the engineering team in the background, we've worked to make sure all these parts work. They design and create the cams there on their premises. I would have tested them on the dyno. We would generate maps. And for that customer, because he's buying all those components together, the tuner, the cam, the proper lifters, all the parts needed, along with the map loaded into the ThunderMax, if they choose to do that, that customer could install those parts and expect the results that was discussed with them at Zippers Performance.
Good.
And it basically, they actually make it easy. But the main thing I wanted to say is that they interview you and talk, like I would here. I would talk with the customer and try to figure out exactly what he wants.
What they're looking for.
Give him something they don't want.
Nice. So that being said, with somebody comes in, they're interested in like the whole kit. Do you guys do complete installs and everything here as well, not just dyno tune?
Yes, sir. Yes, we definitely do. We do the cam installs. We do big engine installs, engine work. And the install of the engine kit, and I'm not sure how other shops do this. But when we do a big bore kit, we take the engine apart, we make sure the crankshaft and all that's still in good shape. And if it is, and it's put together, we get it running, and then we move it to the dyno, where we actually put the first 125-30 miles on the motorcycle here in a controlled environment, so it doesn't overheat. Basically, we do the initial braking of the motor, so that way we know everything's okay.
A lot of talk about performance, a lot of talk about tuning. What's the craziest bike you've tuned before?
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Got a tough one there.
Well, I hate to go back to Zippers, but their whole history has been about drag racing. And I guess it was a couple years after I'd started working there, maybe 04, 05. We're building a Sportster Pro Stock engine, two of them for somebody overseas. And it was a 128 cubic inch motor, billet heads, 2 300 intake valve. It was 128 cubic inches, 4 3/8 bore by I think 4 5/16 stroke, aluminum rods, over an inch of valve lift. You can imagine how the valve springs and the rollers and the rockers and all that kind of stuff. It was custom valve train geometry. It was crazy. So anyhow, we roll it on the dyno, and I started tuning it, and I had to go back and get Dan, or get another guy to come in there, because they had more experience tuning big power bikes than I did. I kind of, I like my crotch rockets and stuff like that. I used to road race them, but these were different, and that was interesting. It was 2 carburetors on it, 2 D carburetors bored out as big as you could get them, with thunder jets all around them to control all the fuel.
That's crazy.
It was crazy. It was. But they did a good job. They got it worked out. So,
with 20 plus years experience in tuning, this will probably be like something you may not have the answer for, but I'm sure like the people, even myself, what is a bike that in your 20 plus years of experience you've wanted to tune and haven't had the opportunity to, or a bike even now that's recently released that you would like to get your hands on, get it on a dyno and get it tuned up?
That's a good one. I got a soft spot in my heart for the GSX-R 1000.
Yeah.
That's, you know.
A sport bike, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I love those. But I got to stay away from them.
Yeah.
I rode, that's too
Yep.
much fun for me. We had a customer come in here. It was a BMW. I think it was an M something.
Okay.
I got pictures. Oh my goodness! I think it made like 200 horsepower from the factory.
Oh, nice.
And
yeah.
he wants to tune. I'm like, I have no idea. You can get more power out of it.
Yeah,
Because, I mean,
it's already.
My goodness, they give you something. It's like tuning a Ducati or something along those lines. I mean, they make really good power. I mean, I don't know much. There's much left on the table to really make big gains.
Right.
You know, but man, I certainly would love to try it.
Nice,
Man,
nice.
Definitely would be neat. Yeah.
Yep. Well, Bob, I want to say, man, I appreciate you having me today. Appreciate you taking care of me, getting the bike running, you know, how it should be. You guys, if you're local to Maryland, or if you're in Virginia, PA, you know, kind of like the tri-state area, so to speak, man, check the guys out over here at Little Hop Cycles, Sykesville, Maryland. Not only do they tune, but they're also engine building and customization to your motorcycle, whether it be performance related, or, you know, you probably get in here, just get some regular service, some tires, things like that. They do a lot here. Bob, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate you.
Awesome.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. I'll catch up with you guys later. If you enjoy the video, you enjoy this type of content, like, comment, subscribe. Catch you on the next one.